Hey guys, what's up? This is Roth here with Joey today to talk about last night's Breaking Bad. Eric,
thanks for having me.
Yeah, welcome, Joey. Eric is out of the country, so
doing nefarious things, I'm sure.
Well, he's mostly running drugs.
Right, that's what I mean.
For us.
Fitting.
In our meth lab. Listen, let's talk about this big episode last night. Lots of things to discuss, but I'm going to dive right in and talk about the biggest event, the showdown right there at the OK Meth Corral.
That's its official name, I believe, in the script. I love that, especially because the end of the episode was it was kind of tame to what you expected, but then at a certain point you're like, okay, this is it's way too tame to not have anything just explode or whatever. And I was expecting, a sniper bullet or something, but I'm very satisfied and left sort of on the edge of my seat by that.
It's interesting because a lot of people are saying that they could have been happy with that, with sort of the Walt's arrest as being the culmination of the series in general. You saw that look of delight. I knew it was going nowhere good when Jesse was happy. When you saw that look of delight on Jesse's face, he's just not allowed to be happy. Yeah. And then sort of Hank reveling in his victory in that moment and the call to Marie. I mean, you might as well have just said, honey, I'm going to come home and we're going to sail across the world. You knew it was just going nowhere good.
Right.
And I didn't think that Uncle Jack and the White Supremacists, who are also a band, were going to in any way back off from that, But what did let me ask you this. Where do we go? The big question is, who survives? We know Hank survives. Does anyone else survive?
Do we know Hank survives?
Pardon me, we don't know Hank survives. We know that Walt survives.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Walt obviously lives, but I really, poor Gomi and Hank, I don't think are going to make it out of that alive. Here,
let me ask you this, because they're massively outgunned, they're massively outnumbered. I don't see how they survive this, but if they do you call shenanigans on the show?
No, because that's something we've come to expect, I think. There's always this seemingly no-win situation, and somehow they figure a way to write the characters out of it. So maybe we'll see something like that, or maybe just Gomez dies and Hank survives somehow. Maybe there's something worse, Hank gets shot again and Walt leaves him there or something like that. I don't think it's going to be as simple as we might expect it to be, because that's just sort of the MO of the show.
Yeah. Well, I think that there's a poetry in the idea that this is the location of their first cook, and I don't think anything is done by accident on this series, although I've been wrong again and again and again about where many things are going. But I feel like we're not going to get done with the series without a final cook between Jesse and Walt. That I feel like probably where we're going is that Uncle Jack is going to somehow get them and force them to cook for him. Walt escapes, he comes back. I don't know the details anymore. I'm so last
That's why the show's so amazing.
You
can't figure it out. Lots of shows you can sort of be like, okay, this is the trajectory there, but not Breaking Bad. It doesn't work like that.
Well, last week I was completely convinced that he was going to poison himself to set up Hank and Marie. But at this point, he has proven with his choice to turn himself in that family really is the most important thing to him at the end of the day. As many mistakes as he's made, he found himself, or what do you think? To me, that choice was one of two things. He found himself outwitted, outmatched. He was beaten at his own game. He had tried that same kind of ruse to kind of draw Jesse out, and he was beaten by his own game by Hank and Jesse. Did he surrender because he knew he couldn't win, or did he surrender because he really is unwilling to kill Hank?
I think he surrendered because he knew he couldn't win, but I also think, him calling off Uncle Jack when he realizes that Hank was coming was, indicative that family is important to him, regardless of all the terrible things that he's done. Maybe he started out doing this for his family, got a little carried away, and now is sort of reeling it back in. Maybe he, is feeling regret now that he knows he's going to die from the cancer or whatever. But I don't know. Do you think that redeems him at all, or that sets him on the path to redemption?
That's a really interesting question, and I had that too. I thought, does this give us any kind of sympathy for the devil at this late in game, that he ultimately does have a boundary somewhere, kind of,
right?
I think it doesn't undo anything. I think it says a lot about the series and the complexity of this character, that we really don't know where his moral compass is all the time. I don't think he knows. But I think it says a lot about the series that somebody like Huel and his sort of crying breakdown at the idea that Jesse had been killed was so emotional, and that in this world, this man is somewhat of an innocent, because everyone is so corrupt, and Huel's not an innocent. But in comparison,
he looks to Scrooge McDuck, though, so that makes him kind of innocent. I would say.
Right, and so that Walt even having a touch of humanity somehow evokes some sense of sympathy, shows us just how far we've come in terms of the morality on this series, which I think is kind of amazing as well.
Right.
But at this point, it looks like the showdown will be the white supremacists and Walt. Walter White versus the white supremacists. At the end of the day, what do you think?
I mean, you had an interesting theory, we were talking off camera before, that maybe they take him to Cook, and that's when we see him in those future flash forwards earlier in the season. Maybe that's where he escaped from, and he's sort of either out for revenge or, you know, avenging his family that they killed or something. But I think it's a very interesting theory.
I still think that the poison could still be for him. It just may not be as a revenge tactic. It may be to kill himself, or maybe it's for Lydia. We'll find out, you guys. Those are some of our theories. We can't touch on everything in the show. Was there anything else you wanted to touch on?
Just that it's amazing. That's all I got.
But we want to hear some of your favorite moments, some of your theories below. I am left flabbergasted. Last week, I really thought I knew where things were going. I got no idea.